As you know well, I have two wonderful, wonderful children. Every day, they're at that age where they're finally moving beyond just being, kind of a blob that needs caring for all the time. Changing and feeding, changing and feeding. And they're becoming these wonderful little people. And every day is a new adventure with them. And they've always got something new, some way that they can amaze us with the way God has made them. The native talents that God has given to each of them. Every day it seems that we have some new quote from Elizabeth. Some of you know her. And some new project from Ian, in which we can be proud. Yet even as a young pastor, a relatively young pastor, I have stood by the bedside of children younger than my own who were dying. As I laid my mother's ashes in the ground last year, I thought of the fact that she had those same feelings about me at some time, and yet every year, every new creek reminds me that I will not always be. There's a cloud of dust, a storm of dust swirling around my children. I visited with the deathbeds of others. Couples have been married 50, 60, even 65 years. Who are reaching the end of their race. And the dust swirls around them. Dust swirls around all our human endeavors. It's the sign of our transitory nature, the sign of how temporary we are. The sign that all of our loves, all of our hates, all of our passions, all of our all of our skills and all of our incompetencies, our ambitions and our contentedness, our triumphs and our failures, our alliances and our feuds will someday come to naught, be nothing but dust. I thought this as I have wandered through our cemetery and seen the dates on those tombstones. And wondered, as I think about our own life together as a community of faith, what were the little things they wrestled at? What were their joys? What were their arguments long forgotten? What have they done? What did they do that we have been the beneficiaries of? Dust swirling all around us. The Bible tells the story, doesn't it? Vanity of vanities, and all is vanity, cries out the teacher from Ecclesiastes. The grass withers, the flower fades, when the breath of the Lord blows upon it. Surely the people are grass. The grass withers, the flower fades, proclaims Isaiah. And in a weird way, this is one of those few places where Christians and modern secularists can have a real meeting of the minds. Those who would abolish God and those of us who cling to Him as our only hope, in a sense, can agree that it all begins in dust and ends in dust. Dust is a sign of how temporary we are. But for Christians, it is also the soil from which new life can spring. Yes, the grass withers and the flower fades, but the word of the Lord endures forever, proclaims Isaiah. And this is the word of the Lord. Come forth, Lazarus. Live, you dry bones. The word of the became flesh and dwelt among us, and we have seen his glory. The glory as of a Father's only Son, full of grace and truth. The glory of God, the truth of God, which Christians alone are privileged to see, shines forth most clearly at the cross. The cross of Jesus Christ is the place where in the Gospel of John, where that line I just read comes from, Jesus is glorified, enthroned. It is the place where he is most fully revealed as God's Son, and the place to which, from which, flows his grace, and it becomes ours. And so this night, even when we receive on our foreheads the mark of our transitory nature, we receive it in the sign of the cross. The sign that hangs over all of our lives. Yes, dust is a sign of our transitory natures. For Christians, it's nothing but the soil of a tomb. And no tomb can permanently hold us any more than it could hold the one whom we call Lord. Yes, dust is the sign of our temporariness. For Christians, it is also the fertile ground from which new life can and will spring. Praise be to him this night who went down to the dust, that we may be raised up out of it. Jesus Christ our Lord.